Orlando Health is a not-for-profit healthcare organization with 450 locations spanning 9 counties here in Florida. And they contacted us to redo all of the exterior signage at their South Seminole campus. Signs like this one. There were 16 signs in all. So from the design, the fabrication, and the installation of these signs, it was one hell of a project. Let's take a look at it.
The Orlando Health South Seminole Hospital has 16 signs, 16 wayfinding signs that we're going to need to replace. They got an idea of what they want to see with the new signs. You can see it's nice shades of gray with red. This is their new branding. You can see this is their new corporate logo.
Right.
They had a pretty good idea of what they wanted to see, so we're just going to take that and enhance it. For us, this is a pretty big project. We're used to dealing with big projects. We have some pretty big customers, but this one, because of how many signs and because of all the specific information, required a lot of legwork, upfront legwork. We took a look at their map, and then we did a survey, took photos of each sign, and realized that where they were pointing to on this was in a different spot. You can see that this sign F, they had the sign positioned here. In reality, it was on the other side of the street here. So we made sure that we had all of the signs accounted for, and we double-checked with the customer to make sure that they did in fact want to replace all of these signs.
It's important that all the signs have the correct positioning, because if you're coming into this entrance and you're looking at the sign and it's on the left-hand side of the road, the arrows are going to be different than if they were on the right-hand side of the road. So we want to make sure that the wayfinding is correct so that people can get themselves or their loved ones into the emergency room. Every second is critical.
In this job, it's extremely important to remember that no two signs are the same. They each had their own directional information. Each one was a unique sign.
The crazy part about this particular project is we've done some really big signs in the past. This one is a lot of smaller signs, but they have all the different varying things. We've got a really large entrance sign. We've got different shapes. They're different wayfindings. Some are illuminated, some are non-illuminated, some are double-sided. So there's a lot of engineering that goes into that. We had over 36 pages of engineering on this particular job, and normally we're down in 1 or 2 pages for most signs. We weren't using the existing signage anymore. All of that was getting ripped out. We didn't even reuse any of the footers. Everything got pulled from the ground and we completely redid everything.
So this is a piece of sign archaeology that is the old signs from the hospital, the ones we're changing out. And these have been painted twice, refaced once. And if you look underneath this side, this is the original sign. The original sign has slats on it that they drill the screws out, take the screws out of it and change these. I'll show you what they look like now. These are the new signs for the hospital. Much more solid, a lot bigger copy. The durability behind this is, this paint is double UV protection. It's Matthews, it's very, very good sign paint. The graphics that we use are 3M, easier to read, very, very clear, can't be hurt by the sun. This is the way they should be.
We kind of broke it up into 2 phases. We did all of the non-illuminated signs first so that we could get the project rolling and get everything going and not hold anything up in fabrication. And then once we got those signs installed, we went back and did all the illuminated signs, and most of those had their own challenges both for install and building them. So for example, on the main campus sign here, it's a 30-foot long sign that's in 2 sections that separates right down the center at 15 feet, which one of the actual letters will have to overhang on either side, so it kind of goes together like a puzzle piece. On a sign like this, we would use a larger angle because it's so much more wind resistance because of the fact that it's a larger surface area. So we go through and I'll design everything in 2-inch aluminum angle. That way when Steve goes to build it, everything will stay structural and straight, so it'll make everything go together a lot easier. Once we get everything engineered, as long as it's all done properly, I really don't have to deal with the fabrication guys too much. Occasionally Steve will come in with a simple question, it'll be a missed call out on a specific measurement or something like that, but for the most part, I don't have to micromanage these guys because Steve has got a great group of people out there fabricating that they can get everything done with no problems.
We're gonna run the outside of the O for Orlando Health. Got the material right there rolling, the 2 feeders, the blade. Once that's done, the material feeds out and goes through the nozzle. And we have the triggers that bends it, the radius left and right. But this is pretty easy because it's just a circle, it's the O. The gear pretty much moves the trigger and tells it where to go. It's putting radius on the O, and one of the triggers just pushes it left or right arc, depends on which way it goes. And this is letter form material, which is trimless. The face gets glued to this rubber seal here. so everything sits flush and clean. This is at the end where it makes the final cut. So what it does, it makes the straight cut and then it does the trimming and boom, the outside of the O. So this is what the face looks like, and it has a lip where it goes like this, and that's why it's called trimless. Everything is flush and nice. I'm working this one out right now, and I always go one direction. I start from here, move around, clamp, glue with tape. This is already dry, but I let it dry extra time just in case. I put tape so the glue doesn't leak through, and I put clamps in hard areas where you can't really manipulate it with your fingers.
Ah, fresh electronics. Smells good. So I'm going to use these LEDs right here to make 3 rows in a grid system to go behind the letters that I have on the emergency cabinet for equal light, and it should be extremely bright. What I'm doing is peeling the backer off, which gives me the 3M VHB, which really sticks and doesn't come off. The longevity, 5 to 7 years, if we leave them on full time, a lot longer than fluorescent lamps. These letters for Orlando Health are regular channel letters mounted on the side of this cabinet. The difference between these and the push-throughs that we did on the previous sign is this acrylic is a glued-in face, and it physically makes a can with the letter itself, where the LEDs that I've put in the other cabinet only shine from behind. These LEDs are made by Hanley, extremely bright, 100% waterproof, and 0 failure rate. So this particular letter has red translucent vinyl over the face, but the Hanley LEDs cut right through that, extremely bright. And that produces an emergency bright red.
They look amazing at night. The signs look fantastic. You can see them from a long way away. It definitely will allow someone that doesn't know where the hospital is, they will find it if they're coming down the correct street.
So I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I played Tetris. I loved Tetris. I loved putting the pieces together and making things fit and work. So what's cool about this job is the way each sign goes together, it's like a big game of Tetris.
This is one of the main entrance signs, and this one, Jason jokes a lot about this being our Tetris sign because it's got a very similar piece shape to one of the Tetris pieces. And this sign goes together in 2 pieces in the field, so they'll install the first base and then bring the other piece in over the top.
The main campus sign will probably be the most beautiful one of all. It's a very wide sign, and it's going to be in a very open field, so it'll have a neat look, and it has all illuminated letters. So they're great big letters, they're illuminated in a wide format. It's going to look fantastic. The emergency sign is definitely the coolest sign on this project. It's very tall, and it's a very modern looking sign.
The crazy part about this one is because it's a 20-foot tall sign and the pole runs all the way to the top of that sign, you're gonna have to get it an additional 20 feet into the air. So basically what they're gonna have to do is leave one side of this sign off, create its own table so that they can set it down and then pick it up on end, and then hoist it 45 feet into the air so that they can get it back onto the saddle into this pole, all while not getting electrocuted. You normally, when you're building a retail project or a restaurant or anything like that, it's somewhere that somebody wants to go but not necessarily has to go. Hospital signs, they're much more important in my eyes because now this is somebody that needs to be able to reach this place, whether it be for their friends, their family, or for themselves. So it's really important to make sure that everything is correct and that everything will work.
Our signage is going to help people get right to where they need to go during the day, during the night, anytime. So being a part of this project gives us all a good feeling knowing that we're helping people out.